Hey guys, what's up? I'm Slim and you're watching Slimothy TV. In this video, I have a pretty cool one for you guys. AirGradient was kind enough to send out two of their air quality monitors. One is the indoor version and one is the outdoor version. In this video, we're going to dedicate it to the indoor version, but if you want to see the outdoor one as well, be sure to subscribe to the channel, stay tuned, and we will be uploading that video shortly. But for now, we're going to stick to the indoor air quality sensor. So as you can see on the box, they are committed to sustainability, hence the very eco-friendly packaging, which we will see here as we crack it open. And right here, it looks like we've got a nice little card signed by the CEO himself. So that is nice to see. We also have this card here that basically tells us which model it is, as well as some safety information. Very nice. You can see all of this is kind of on this cardboard paper that's reusable. So it's got the least impact on the environment, which is cool. Obviously all of this as well. On top of that, AirGradient appears to be making products that can be sustainable so that they don't become obsolete like some electronics do. So I have to give them props for that as well. Looks like we have a USB-A to USB-C cable right here, as well as a couple little feet. Let's take a look at this cable real quick. It looks like we've got a nice side USB-C, so it's going to slot in very easily. The USB-A port is also a side slot as well. Looks very nice. This is a very long cable too. I believe it's 2 meters, so they're very generous with their cable length. And then of course we have the star of the show right here, the AirGradient air quality monitor. And this is what it looks like up close and personal. Very sleek, minimalist. Let's go ahead and move these boxes out of the way and take a closer look. So on the front here, you can see a tiny little screen. We have the AirGradient logo printed right here on the device. On the back, you can see some of the vents for the air circulation. On the bottom, you can see the same. On the back here, you have some serial information, and then you can see right there is the USB-C slots. You got some mounting brackets to make it super easy to mount this wherever you want. I am very excited to fire this up and get it going. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Now, I just went to their website and you can see you can either purchase the fully assembled kit or the ones that you have to build yourself. It appears they sent the fully assembled kit, which is great because I don't know that we would have time to do that. But if you are a DIYer and you like to put things together and see what goes into it, you can definitely buy a cheaper version, which allows you to build it yourself, or you can have them assembled for a slightly higher price. But this looks super easy, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this off camera just to speed up the process. All right, so this is pretty cool. I just powered it up and you can see it wants me to connect to a hotspot. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. And there we go. It is connected and connecting to server now. And it says sensor configuration error on server. That is interesting. We'll go ahead and troubleshoot that. All right, guys, this is interesting. The config error is actually not really an error. It just means you need to set up your account on the AirGradient website on the dashboard. Super easy to do. Basically, it walks you through it. You just add an email address, a name, and a password, and you're good to go. Now it's walking me through adding this device to the dashboard right now. So I'm gonna do that in just a second. So I'm gonna go ahead and scan that right now. All right, I am in. I'm gonna go ahead and connect my first monitor right now. So we'll click on that one with QR codes. Already did that. We'll go to next step, and we're already on the Wi-Fi, so we can skip this step right here, but this basically just shows you how to connect it to the Wi-Fi. It's super easy to do. All right, so now I'm on the page to add it to the dashboard. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. And luckily it was checked, so I know which model it is right here. And now we have a green light right here, as you guys can see. And look at this screen, it looks really good. We've got the CO2 right there, the particles and the TVOCs. And just like that, we have the data flowing straight into this dashboard on the web. So we can look at that at any time, refresh it, and take a look. It also tells us when the last update was. So it was about 1 minute ago, and everything is in the green. And I believe that that is what this indicates as well. Temperature to be Fahrenheit, at least on the app. However, I am not seeing that change yet on the device itself. It might just take a minute. Now, I have gone ahead and clicked this little button here and checked every single box. So you guys can see right here, I can scroll through those. Wi-Fi strength, humidity, heat, everything like that right here on the web page. Now, of course, once I get that outdoor one going, it's going to show up right here, and I'm going to have a full idea of what's going on indoors and outdoors. And if you look closely here, it looks like the TVOCs just updated. So we got about 100 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and play with this for just a bit. And I usually let these run for 1 to 4 weeks, depending on how good the sensor is. So some of them that are like real choppy sometimes might take me a month to test out just to make sure that everything is on the up and accurate. This device was rated one of the most accurate air quality devices, so I have high hopes for it, and I'm going to pit it against all of my other air quality sensors, which again, I have a bunch of. So we shall see how this one does, but I'm going to splice that into this video. It's going to be just one video with the unboxing, setup, and the full review, which is coming up right after this. So I'll see you guys in just a bit. All right, guys, we are back, and I have to say, this has been a long time coming. This is one of the longest amounts of time that I have spent trying out a product. I think it's been since March, mid-March. So 3.5, almost 4 months coming up on for testing out these AirGradient products. I wanted to make sure I fully understood everything about these, or at least as much as possible. So just to recap, I have the indoor and the outdoor module set up, and I've been really enjoying these. Now, mostly I look at the outdoor one a lot more than the indoor, just because I have so many other indoor sensors. But here is the dashboard. So I'm gonna put up some pictures of how I kind of mounted these devices. I have one outside on my deck in the back, and I also have one in my office that I kind of use to periodically take a look at. This is the dashboard that you guys would see if you purchase one of these and you look at your dashboard online. First of all, you can see it has these good to know items. So you can click on these, kind of read through it. You can also dismiss it if you don't like it or if you're done with it. Up here in the top right, you can switch a couple of quick settings, but I don't really know exactly why they're up here. Those could be definitely moved somewhere else because this looks more like a settings panel for an account. The hamburger menu over here kind of gets you to your main hub. So it's got your name, what level you are. So I'm premium just because I have these. I think everyone automatically gets that. At least for now. Dashboard, analytics, data export, user profile, support, place, locations, hardware, user permissions, and connect a monitor. Of course, you can sign out as well. Now, these air quality monitors do work with Home Assistant if you have them updated. You can look into that if you use Home Assistant. I personally don't right now. Akim, not sure how to pronounce that, but I've been working with him. I think he's the owner of AirGradient, and he has been super helpful. Anytime I had a question, he answered it pretty quickly. And he seems very, very passionate about the air quality monitoring, which is great. Doesn't seem like it's necessarily financially motivated like other companies. Not going to name any names here, but you know who you are. But this AirGradient seems to be, how do you say, I guess just more in tune with the people and actually cares about improving air quality, or at least helping people understand that air quality really matters, whether it's indoor or outdoor. Now we have a map here on their website that you guys can take a peek at as well. Now there's not a ton of data on here. You guys can see kind of how it looks, but as more people buy these and install them, it should get a little bit better over time. So if I scroll down here, let's just go down and we can take a look at other people's here. I believe, I'm not sure if I can change this into Fahrenheit from here, but this is kind of what it looks like. And yeah, you can scroll around on the map, take a look, see what's going on, but I'm gonna go ahead and close out of that. And let's go ahead and look at my chart. So here is what it kind of looks like. I've got mine set to the last 8 hours, 5 minutes, but you can drill down to pretty much anything you want here. So if I just want to look at the 30-day mark, this is kind of, you know, giving you a top-down view. 90 days even, you guys can see a lot more data and which days were, you know, worse or better. Now I will say my data is a little bit skewed right now. This is because of a little bonfire pit that we've got. This wind sometimes blows the smoke towards this, which is obviously not ideal because this is not really what it's like out there. These are usually recommended to be placed away from outdoor grills and stuff like that. But given that this thing, it's not solar or anything, it has to have power, which is one of the downsides. You know, this is just the way it is. So, you know, I can mentally just block this out. But if this was a public unit, they might get freaked out. So currently this stuff is private and I keep it that way. Here is the hourly. So you can see it's normally pretty good. Definitely changes throughout the day. I think a lot of these higher values, I don't know if it's actually truly higher particle values or if it's just like moisture in the air. I know that can sometimes mess these up, but this is definitely from the bonfire right here. Anyways, here you can see the inside location, particle, particulate matter around 7 right now, which is fantastic. That's very good. 455 for the CO2 inside, which is very low, actually a little too low. Because I've got some other meters that are reading a little higher than this one. This one's always been quite low. Not entirely sure why, but that's just the way it is. I did update all of these, which is another thing. So this, one of the reasons that I waited so long for this video, mine were actually stuck on older firmware. I had to manually update them myself with a cable. Now that they're on the latest firmware, AirGradient can actually push out the updates over the air now. So I don't have to keep plugging them in, which is fantastic. It's so much nicer. The app updates can just come through. I almost wish there was a setting. I don't think there is one for manually allowing updates. So let's just say I wanted to download the update, but not necessarily install it right away or something like that, where I was given the option to update. I think that might be a next level of granularity for users, but I understand AirGradient wants everyone to be on the latest and greatest. So I understand that they've done it the way they've done it. Now, if we scroll all the way down, we've got the outdoor locations as well as indoor. So if you have multiple sensors, wherever they are, you can see them here and in a nice compact form. Of course, if I click this little button here, I can edit the location or show monitor information. So if I click show monitor information, it's just gonna show me like serial number and firmware version that it's on. Like I said, these are both up to date all the way, 3.1.4, I believe that's what it is. And yeah, so here we can see a bunch. We can see the PM 2.5, the 0.3, the PM1, PM10, CO2, temp, relative humidity, TVOCs, NOx, and last update. And these are live updating, which is fantastic. This dashboard is super useful. I wish it was a little better on mobile, but if you have an iPad or a MacBook, it looks way better. And what's really cool is you can click these little panels here and you can add a ton of more stuff. So if you want the group name, R2, last 24 hours RMSE, you can also add the heat, TVOC, IND30, and as well as Wi-Fi status. So if you want to see, how the Wi-Fi is doing and make sure that it is strong, you can do that right there. So let's go ahead and just add these here. And there we go. PM reduction, we'll add that as well. So that is kind of what it looks like with everything in there. All my readings look very good right now, at least to me, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the devices here in just a second. I wanted to give you a very thorough overview of this dashboard and get you guys familiarized with it, because this is where you're going to get all your information. The outdoor unit does not have a screen. The indoor unit does have a screen, but again, depending on where you put it, you might not always see the screen. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Now you got analytics here. Let's just add, let's do CO2, and let's do 24 hours, and let's just do indoor or inside. And let's see. So here is what the inside last 24 hours CO2 has been. You can kind of see where it jumps up and where it falls, especially when the AC is on full blast, cooling off the house, especially at night. I sleep way better if the temperature is around like 66 to 68 Fahrenheit. So I definitely crank the AC up during those times to keep it as cool as possible. Now, if I go to, let's just go to, where is it at? Temperature. And yeah, at night, it just drops to, gosh, how far? 65, gets up to, unfortunately, 72, but it goes right back down. So that's just the way it is at this house. Let's go ahead and do outside here, and we can put that right on top of it. So you can kind of see how the outside temperature correlates to the inside. And it's pretty interesting. We can also go ahead, take a look at PM 2.5, because that is something that people look at quite a bit. And wow, that went crazy high, and then it went down. That was for indoors, probably when I was frying up some bacon or something like that, because that does spike it just for a minute. But at this particular house where this is at, I've got an ionizer and all kinds of other things in the air. So you can see generally it is a very, very clean and no issues there at all. CO2, again, I trust the outside more than I do the inside, at least for this unit, just because I've got some other units that seem to be a little more accurate for CO2. Don't really understand why. TVOC is interesting because VOCs can come from anything. They can come from vinyl flooring, carpet, stuff like that. And I did have a lot of that redone at this particular house where this one is installed. It's been interesting to see that. That's another reason why I waited so long for this full review, because I wanted to see what would happen. But anyways, this is of course just within the last 24 hours, but I can switch it to anything. If I want to see the last 7 days, I can do that. I can see the CO2, I can see the temperature, I can sort by anything that I want. And if I had more of these units, I could just add them right here at more locations. Boom, just add them to the graph and take a look at everything, see how it goes. So one thing I do want to mention, I was having some issues at the beginning. If the sun hits the outdoor unit, or if, since it's attached to a wall that's dark colored, it can generate extra heat and be a little bit wrong. Let's just say that, especially during the springtime when it's like 70 degrees outside. This thing will read sometimes 80 something, just because unfortunately it's hot from the wall and it just radiates up. Now I have a weather station that mitigates that. This thing can't quite do that. I think because it's, again, mounted to a wall. The relative humidity and the temperature are sometimes wrong for the outside, and that's why I have a couple different weather stations out there that are all more accurate. Anyways, that's the analytics board. I really like this one. You can, of course, refresh it, get most up-to-date information. But let me go ahead and quickly talk about hardware. So the outdoor unit, like I said, temperature, humidity sometimes is wrong. But I really want to stress that if this thing was solar, it would be miles better. The reason being, I have a very limited place where I can mount this, unfortunately, due to power restrictions. Cables are, and not wanting to get electrocuted and all that stuff. So I've got mine set up very conservatively, but I've got this set up for air quality, not for temperature and stuff. If you care more about the temperature and whatever, I recommend just getting a weather station instead. This is more for the air quality outside. So I don't care if the temperature and stuff's a little bit off. That's just me. But if this was solar, I could have placed it further out, away, further from the house, not next to the house where it's going to generate heat there, and further away from the bonfire and further away from the grill. Overall, I think that, if solar was a possibility, it would be a little better. Now, is that coming down the line? I don't know. Would it be cool? Absolutely. I think battery backup would be great on both of these as well, if it was possible. But I know these are power hungry devices, relatively speaking, And to get the most accurate data, sometimes you got to do more counts, and more counts means more power. So maybe solar is not in the cards. I don't know. I don't make these things, but that's just my quick little rant about power. Data export, if you want, you can export straight to a CSV. That's another thing about AirGradient. You pretty much own your own data. With others, if you read their privacy policy, it's kind of like, oh, all your data that you get is their property kind of thing, and they can use it. AirGradient has a totally different approach. It's your data. If you want to export it, go for it. It is what it is. If you want to share it with them and make it public, go for it. Something else that's cool here, if I click on plan, that'll just show my personal stuff. You don't need to see that, but you can also subscribe to alarms. So if I hit alarm settings here, I can go ahead and add a new alarm if I want to be notified of a certain thing. So let's just say all inside locations, let's measure CO2, and let's do is greater than, and let's say 1,000, or let's do 999. So if my CO2 indoors goes above 999, it's going to activate and it's going to immediately give me an alert. That's really cool. I don't personally use any of these because I monitor these, myself all the time. But if I subscribe to this alarm, it will give me alerts. I can also notify when returned to normal. This is super powerful stuff that a lot of others don't have. And I really like that they give you this option and it's included. This is something that definitely differentiates this from others. But again, I'm going to delete this just because I don't use that. I don't need it right now. In the future, I might though. General play settings, you guys can kind of mess with these if you want. You can switch some of these index learning and stuff. I mean, you can switch a lot of things within their website here. LED and display, so you can display the PM or the CO2, or LEDs off for the indoor ones. You can change the light values. So I've got mine set to 10% at night, just so it's not super bright, but you guys of course can change that. But I think it looks really good at night when it's dim. And it's even got this option right here to switch off the display from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. every night to extend it. Wish we could change that a little bit. Maybe if we could change it to like 2 a.m. to 5 or 6 a.m., that'd be even better. Activity settings, MQTT and API access right there. And of course you've got groups, and you can add more groups if you want and use those as you please. Now locations doesn't show too much, just my locations, as well as hardware. That's just going to show serial number and stuff. The user, of course, is my user account, and then connect the monitor if you want, or sign out. Now, something that's cool here, I've got this covering up my user account, but you can add new users. You can get daily, weekly reports, offline monitor notifications. I actually used to get these daily, weekly reports, but I turned those off just because the format wasn't the best in my email on mobile. So I found that I wasn't really looking at them very much, but some people might definitely look at that. So it's an option. Offline monitor notifications, very important. So I know if something goes offline, especially for the outdoor unit, now that the LEDs are off by default. That was an update that they did. It was kind of questionable, but I don't know that you can turn those back on yet. They're off by default. It's fine. It's cool. I'm used to it now. As long as I get offline notifications, it's all good. Data export is on, and general admin is also turned on for this account because this is my main account. I could also give someone else access to this if I want them to see it, which is fantastic to have, especially if this is for a business, or maybe you got a bunch of people in your house that you want to be able to see it. This is clutch and very nice to have. So anyways, that has been a very quick overview, but I think that these are incredibly powerful devices if more people start to use them, because first of all, knowing your air quality is paramount to your health. In my opinion, I think that knowing what's in the air, what you're breathing, maybe you might not be able to change the outdoor air right now, but maybe it'll encourage you to go inside for a little bit while it's bad out. It's bad inside to go outside sometimes, and just tweak little things to get your air quality as good as possible. Like I said, CO2 was the only major disappointment with this. It's very similar to other monitors that I've used where it's just incredibly low. Like it's not 454 inside right now. It's just not. That's outdoor air. If I had to guess, it's probably close to actually around 600 indoors, but I mostly use this for the PM 2.5. That's really what I like to use this for, to see the indoor air quality of that. And then this, I usually just add about 100 to 150 to it. And with that said, the outdoor one is usually pretty close to accurate. 427 is about the ambient CO2 outdoors. So that seems pretty accurate to me. Anyways, I got to give a big thank you and shout out to AirGradient for sending these 2 air quality units out free for review. This was a very long test, guys. I mean, this has been months in the making. I hope it was helpful for you guys. I do highly recommend these units. I like that these are more open source than others. I like that the owner actually gives a shit, to be honest. He seems to really care. I like that. It's refreshing to see that. And he's always making improvements to these with software updates and listening to user feedback. That is something that I can't say for other companies. So very well done to AirGradient. Hats off to them. If you're looking for an air quality monitor, definitely check these ones out first. Just take a look at their website, see if they have what you want. Of course, there's others. If you want CO2 only, like if that's the main thing, we've done reviews on our channel of some other good ones. I'm not going to name drop them here, but you can check out our channel. We've done a lot of different reviews. If you're looking for overall air quality, including PM 2.5, stuff like that, definitely check out AirGradient. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for this one. If you liked it, hit it with a big thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.